Hello, everyone. Today, I'm honored to sit down with someone who embodies the spirit of devotion in a way that, for me, is both grounding and inspiring. And I can't wait to share this amazing discussion with you. This is my close friend, Nimai Hedemark. Welcome, Nimai. Lovely to have you.
Thank you so much, Joey, for letting me come on here, and I'm gonna try my best to share some of the things that I've been thinking about essentially
I
lately.
I can't wait. Personally, and for those of you who don't know Nimai, Nimai is a traditional Vedic astrologer from the lineage of Sanjay Rath, which has its roots from the Panchasaka tradition of Sri Chitananda Das. And he's also a fellow classmate of mine in the Jaimini Scholar Program under Sanjay Rath, Sarbani Rath, and Visti Larson. And he's also a graduate of the Parashara Jyotisha course under Visti Larson. But what really, for me, sets Nimai apart is his pure heart. He comes from a family immersed in the Bhakti yoga tradition with family roots in the ISKCON movement, and he carries that devotional current in everything he does, from mantra to sadhana and to his astrological practice and even to landscaping and gardening in Australia. So I
Yeah.
had the chance to spend a little bit of time with Nimai in India, and I was deeply moved by his sincerity and the way he lives, breathes, and embodies bhakti. So in this conversation, I wanted to talk about building a personal relationship with the divine through bhakti and how Vedic astrology can support the inner path. So, Nimai,
All
I
right.
got all that right? Like your
Yeah,
background.
you nailed it. And I would just maybe add that I have been a a fairly dogged pursuer of spiritual experience from a very young age. From like playing with Ouija boards to trying to learn how to astral travel to, you know, any kind of mystical experience or it really caught my fancy. And so what I would really like to emphasize is that bhakti, of all the things that I've experienced and all the tangents, nothing trumps bhakti. And it is the ultimate experience by far. And it has the impact of permeating your life in so many ways and impacting the way you relate with the world and with everyone in the world and with yourself. And so more and more, I'm finding that pretty much bhakti is all in all. Even like you said, I'm a Jyotishi. I'm a student of Jyotish. But ultimately, I'm a bhakti yogi first. And even my Jyotish, I would hope that somehow or other I could use Jyotish to inspire people in bhakti. So, with that, let's begin.
Yeah, absolutely. So I wanted to talk a little bit about maybe we can approach this from a Vedic astrology angle. And I see you've already prepared slides, so I think we're already off to a good start. As an open-ended question, as we go
Yep.
into this, how has your bhakti practice influenced your Vedic astrology study? And conversely, how has your Vedic astrology study influenced your bhakti practice? Like these are sort of the questions that are in my head, and I'm sure the viewers would like to know
Okay.
more about that.
So I suppose to begin with, we might need to define bhakti a little bit. Bhakti, generally speaking, is defined, you will see it connected to words like devotion, love. It is synonymous with Sanskrit words like priti and prema, this divine affection or divine love. And at its root, bhakti comes from the word bhaj, right? To glorify. And at the root of that is attention, right?
Mm.
Bhakti at its most fundamental is the willingness to participate actively, to actively direct your attention, your will towards the object of one's bhakti, right?
Mm.
So I started with bhakti and came to Jyotish. And bhakti brought me to Jyotish in that I was naturally exploring and directing my attention towards Hari, to Vishnu. Krishna. And the more that I wanted to know him, the more I had to explore myself and the world. And that was the door by which I entered into Jyotish, because Jyotish, as the Vedanga, it's the Nayanam. Vedanga Nayanam is how, or Veda Nayanam is how Parashara describes Jyotish. In the first chapter of Parashara's Hora Shastra, he's being asked to expound on this, and he calls it Veda Nayanam. And his next verses, once he describes who was um, the proper recipient of that knowledge, he then bows to Vishnu. He acknowledges that the whole subject matter of this Veda Nayanam, the subject of the Vedanga, the subject of Jyotish, is none other than Vishnu. So my appreciation for Vishnu, my appreciation for Krishna, my natural curiosity and my desire to pursue that relationship to its fullest led me to Jyotish. And then having arrived at Jyotish, the more you explore, the more amazing he becomes. He's so incredible. The whole function is so incredible that you're able to see the whole world and everything that's happening directly related to Krishna. Everything that you're seeing is a manifestation of the will of the Lord and it's directly the Lord. And that's incredible. And so Jyotish, it was like looking through a spyglass or a microscope and just starting to like get down to the finest details of how this is all happening. And the closer you look, the closer you start to discover yourself and your shortcomings, if we're being honest, and what you need to do to overcome them. And in that process, when you sincerely apply yourself, so much grace starts to manifest in your life. And with that grace comes love. And so I am very incredibly grateful to my teachers. I'm so grateful to Visti. I'm so grateful to Sarbani. I'm so grateful to Sanjay Rath for sharing what was essentially knowledge that was kept secret and especially secret from Western people. So, so grateful. And I'm so grateful for the other heroic individuals like, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada for journeying to the West to share the Bhakti tradition with the Western minds and Western souls. And my life is a product of his courageous sojourn. I'm incredibly grateful for that. So with that, I'd like to present Bhakti as not the beginning or as the beginning. It's sort of like the culmination. It's the end point. It's
Yeah.
where the end begins and where
Wow.
liberation comes alive. And this is extremely eloquently presented in the Chaitanya Charitamrita by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his conversation with Sanatana Goswami about this incredibly beautiful verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. This verse is called the Atmarama verse. And previously, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had explained this verse to a very, very famous Pandit named Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya at the time was the most respected Vedantist. And when he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he sat down and he spoke for 7 or 8 days on Vedanta, on the Brahma Sutras. And after the seventh or eighth day, Mahaprabhu had been silent basically for the whole time. So after 7 or 8 days, Sarvabhauma was like, I've been talking for days on end, and you haven't said anything. Do you understand what I'm saying? Are you following me? And Sri Chaitanya said, oh, yes, I'm following you. I'm I'm hearing everything you're saying, but you're not really making a whole lot of sense. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he was a little bit taken aback, but he was also very curious. He's like, okay, what do you mean? And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, well, you have you've explained all the verses, but you haven't taken their direct meanings, and therefore you've explained away the personality of Godhead. You've explained away his person, and you've focused on the Nirakar being attributeless, and yet The Nirakara is more than that, right? The Supreme Person is the all in all. And when I say the Supreme Person, it's the Supreme Person who's Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. And so he quoted this verse to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And then he went on to explain this verse in 18, to give 18 different meanings to this verse.
Wow.
So later on, Sanatana Goswami, one of Sri Chaitanya's principal students, asked Mahaprabhu to explain these 18, to give him these 18 explanations of this verse, because he really wanted to hear it. He wasn't there to hear it. So please, I want to know what were the 18 meanings that you gave to this. And Mahaprabhu said, well, actually, I don't remember, but he started to expand on the meaning. And actually, he gave 61 instead of 18. He gives 61 different interpretations of this verse. So we'll
Wow.
start with the very beginning. Atmaramascha munio nigranta apyorukrame kurvanti ahitukim bhaktim itam bhuta guno hari. Even those who are self-satisfied, Atmarams, sages, munaya, who are free from all material bondage and without rules and regulations, nigranta, perform unmotivated devotional service, ahitukim bhaktim, to Urukrama, Krishna, whose qualities, guna, are so wonderful and full of bliss, itam bhuta, that they capture the heart and mind. Hari. So Mahaprabhu, he begins with this word atmaramascha, and the basic meaning is those who delight in Atma. But he points out that Atma has 7 possible meanings. And so there's all different kinds of people are being described by this atmaramascha. He says, Atma can be described or defined as the self, the absolute truth, but it can also refer to the self as the body, or the self as the mind, or the self as the intellect, or the self in one's endeavors, or the self in firmness, or the self in one's nature, swabhava. And from there, he starts to break down all the different kinds of human beings who this Atmaramascha refers to. And he points out that this cha, the grammar, by adding this cha, you don't have to repeat all that. You don't have to say Atmaramas, blah, 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 cha, and then this one, and then this one, and then this one, and then this one. That this cha allows the verse to describe so many different kinds of people, to include so many different kinds of people who are attracted to Hari, right? And then he then describes that the Muni, the word Muni refers to these different descriptions of what this Muni can mean. It can mean a thoughtful person, a mananashila, one who's deeply reflecting. And now notice also that in this exploration of Muni, it starts from basically someone who's thoughtful, like the basic level, like introductory, like your meditation, but there's a little bit of self-inquiry, to the
Sure.
fully illuminated, self-realized, enlightened being. So from the basic, just like what is life, all the way to the fully enlightened being is included in this word Muni. And then he goes one step further and he describes how this Muni, because it basically means a silent one, right? So this Muni also refers, Mahaprabhu says, it also refers to the birds and the bees and the inanimate beings like trees.
Wow. I've always thought of Mooney as just being a sage. There's
Yeah,
so
it's
many.
so incredible. There's so
Yeah.
many ways that Mahaprabhu started taking this apart and describing the different kinds of people that this applies to. Then he takes the word nigranta, which is the other word that's being used as an adjective. When you look at this word, means without, and granta means like a knot or a binding. It also, like the grantas are the scriptures, or the granta can be your wealth, or the granta can be the rules and regulations of Dharma, or the granta can also be the composition of the aksharas themselves when you write. So Mahaprabhu then explains that this nigranta applies to uh, 2 levels of beings. We have the exalted beings Those who are nigranta from bondage, they're the liberated souls. And they are also nigranta like the great sannyasis who they have no social obligation, or the avaduts. They've transcended all all rules and regulations are operating from a place of pure spontaneity, right? So at the highest level, this Nigranta is referring to those kinds of individuals. But on the same side, he is pointing out that Nigranta can mean you're illiterate, right? You're not capable of reading. You have no education. Or maybe Nigranta means that you have no wealth. You're poor, socially downtrodden. Or Nigranta can mean that you have no discipline, that you are a one who's being captured by the senses. Or Nigranta with no discipline can mean that you're a very sinful person. You're not bound by the rules, right? Someone who's not bound by the rules is someone who just breaks the rules. And so even those beings, uh, they're also coming into the context and are covered in this verse. So Mahaprabhu
Yeah.
ends up giving 61 combinations. He describes 61 levels of
That's
jnanis, yogis, bhaktas, and materialists. He points out that if the Atma refers to the soul, then the Atmaramas are the spiritually self-satisfied beings, right? You have your jnanis and topmost yogis, topmost bhaktas. If the Atma is the body, then the Atmaramas are those attached to bodily comforts or to the pursuit of materialistic gain. If the Atma is the mind, then the Atmaramas are those absorbed in contemplation, from the very, very basic to the most sublime. If Atma is endeavor, then the Atmaramas are great strivers or seekers, all the different kinds of individuals who are seeking one of the three, uh, uh, you could say, different kinds of fruits, be that liberation or the pleasure of the senses. If Atma is Krishna, right? If the Atma is referring to the Supreme Self, then the Amaras are those who take pleasure in him directly. They're his associates, his parshadas, his direct most expansions, his avatars, and him himself. That he points out that in essence, that supreme soul is attracted and engages in bhakti.
mm,
So from the birds and the bees all the way to the supreme personality of God, it's Sri Krishna himself, all of them naturally are attracted and moved towards bhakti. So we can take this verse, Atmaramas Chamuniyo, Nigranta api urukrame, and we look at this urukrama. Here, Krishna is being, he's being referred to with this name urukrama, which is a name that is of Vamana. Vamana, who took the 3 steps and covered the whole world and made the world shake. And this name is pointing to the fact that all of these individuals, in one way or another, are attracted, their mind is attracted, their attention is attracted by you could say the steps, like we say, following in someone's footsteps. Great people, those are difficult steps to follow, right? So the
mm,
actions of a really great personality, they are attractive. And the greatest personality who's capable of creating this whole manifestation that we see before us, life itself, and all the different plays that are going on, that is incredible. And by and it causes the heart, this name Urukrama, which means to cause the 3 worlds to shake or tremble. It implies that it causes our heart and our being to be moved. Kurvanti haitukim. Kurvanti is to participate. So you're moved, and you're moved to action. That this bhakti is not static, it's it's active. And A Hayutakim is unmotivated. At its most sublime, it has no other reason than itself. It's love for love's sake, for love's sake. And the fact that this is, and that the Lord's qualities are so sublime and so full of wonder and bliss is Hari. It completely captures the mind, completely captures the heart.
Mm.
Um, this verse is so incredible. And if anyone is curious to see directly, it's the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 24. And you can read this whole exchange. I've only just, like, very briefly kind of abridged my way through. But what Mahaprabhu is very much trying to point out is bhakti so incredible that the supremely free one, Krishna himself, or all those who have tasted the highest Brahman, who have achieved liberation, in their state of liberation, when they glance towards Hari and they witness his activities, naturally they are moved to want to participate and serve. And
Mm.
that's mind blowing, absolutely incredible.
It's so dense and can be applied to all levels of spiritual progress, irrespective of what background you come from. Like, this is kind of what I'm realizing as you're speaking.
Yeah, that it's natural, it's innate in the soul, and natural for one and all. Here on this slide, we have this is what you might call the D chakra, right? We have the zodiac here.
Hmm.
Um, we're looking at the Eastern Surya chakra,
Hmm.
and we're looking at the D chakra. And the principle that I want to point out as we're moving towards the idea that bhakti is innate in all beings, and that the map of it, the basic blueprint, is built into the Kalapurusha. And we can study the Kalapurusha and the most fundamental structure of reality as or manifest reality as we see it. And we can understand lots of things about bhakti, and we can understand lots of things about ourselves. The Kendra Bhavas in the Kalapurusha, they represent or hold the most fundamental, you could say, inspiration, the light, the D. And this D is the illumination of the soul. It's often referred to as intellect or intelligence, but at its most fundamental, we're talking about light, D. And that light is the soul. And it's in its various, right, in its various permutations, it has a specific kind of will, a goal, an aspiration. In the Lagnam, we have Buddhi, and Buddhi is that light which you are able to pierce through the darkness and recognize the self ultimately. It's the ultimate Viveka, discernment. In the fourth house, we have Shuddhi. The Shuddhi is referred to as the purity, or the Su, that Shu is its perfection, D. So the D in its perfection, in its most perfect state, in its most true state. It's the water, this Shuddhi, we say we have it in Cancer. It's the water of our own being. And when this water becomes clear, what does one see? What is reflected in this water? Vriddhi is how that light is ever expanding. And so in life, how are we moving towards expansion? And Siddhi is referred to as accomplishment. Now, this basic map, this basic structure, we can apply this, we can use this. But I want to point out that bhakti at its most fundamental is seated here. The heart is seated here with the Shuddhi. The Hrit Padma is in this fourth house. And so we can study this fourth house, Shuddhi, how we're moving towards Shuddhi, to appreciate and look at how bhakti functions and what is beneficial to bhakti and what is in opposition to bhakti and how they interact. I apologize for this line. I seem to have messed up my animation, but we'll
See,
continue.
I keep having like all
Um,
these thoughts as you're talking too, like when we're equating the Kendra houses, the quadrant houses of the horoscope to Vishnu, the Vishnu stan, right? And
yeah,
And so there's that connection to Vishnu as well. And um,
Exactly. Hari, right? Hari is
right.
there in the fourth. And
Yeah, and it's moksha stan. It's considered like out of the four,
yes,
there's dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Fourth house is moksha, and the key to that is bhakti. Like, I mean,
and the key to that is bhakti, and also that the life of moksha is bhakti. So people have
wow.
this, there's a tendency, and we'll cover this a little more. There's a tendency to think that moksha is the end, but there's no end to the soul. The soul is an adi. The soul is forever. The self is engaged forever, and so the self engages in lila. And when one discovers the self, then one discovers the role of lila, and in that it becomes the playground of love, bhakti.
Mm,
So then bhakti becomes the means, the path, and the goal, and it goes on and on and on and on and on without any end. But it is, as you said, it starts in this fourth house, and this fourth house is the root of the moksha ayana.
mm,
So from this fourth house, where the hrit padma, as the water becomes clean, the hrit padma can bloom and reveal one's heart and the object of one's heart. So we can start to look at all the bhavas in relation to the fourth. And let's not forget the basic structure that we saw here. We can we can orientate this so that we put the fourth house here, and we can think of the fourth from the fourth as Shuddhi, and the seventh from the fourth as Vriddhi, and the 10th from the fourth as Siddhi. And those meanings are applicable and relevant and important. And I'll try to point that out. So we had our fourth bhava, the Hrit Padma, and I'm highlighting this as the seat of love. Um, this is our, Cancer is like, it's our individual waters. We have this whole Ayana is a water trine. And the water is when we talk of the soul, we talk of the soul usually from the perspective of, we talk about like the jiva is either a spark or a ray of the sun, or it gets referred to in the Upanishads as a drop of the ocean, right?
mm,
So the fourth house here is our individual waters, and the 12th house is those waters added to the ocean, right? This is the, Ketu exalts. We think of this as the moksha house, the 12th house, where we put the drop of water back into the ocean. But fundamentally, this fourth house is our heart. This is our experience. That the water principle, it's a reference to the consciousness as an experiential reality. Water ripples. There's consequences in water. It moves. It has a memory. It's unique in this way as a representation of consciousness. So we're going to try to apply Argala principles, and we're going to start defining and exploring the bhavas relative to this fourth house and how they're interacting with this fourth house, and therefore how these different areas of our life are impacting our approach or impacting our pursuit of bhakti. The first of those, the most primary Argala Viroda is in the second, it starts in the second bhava.
mm,
And the second bhava, I'll mark the Argala houses with an S. You see this S that's going there, and we're going to say sustain. Now we can get really technical and we could talk about negative planets and positive planets, but for now, we're going to say that the sustainer house is trying to sustain and has an interest in bhakti, and that there can be positive and negative things there, and the experience may be good or bad, but at the end of the day, it's pushing you towards bhakti. And then this fifth house becomes the seat of our mantras and the seat of our self-study, this Leo. We are trying to answer fundamental questions here in the fifth house. So this becomes the seat of our swadhyaya, our self-exploration, our pursuit of knowledge. But most
mm,
importantly, this is the seat of our mantra. The mantra is the direct means by which one can harmonize, one can touch directly the deity of one's own being, one's own self, right? This is Like this Leo sign is like the sign of the monarch, and uh, there's all kinds of egotistical ways that we can approach this. But this is also in a sense where the throne of your the throne of your bliss. And who's sitting on that throne but your Ishtadevata?
Mm.
That might not be technical. Maybe our teachers would disagree with the way I've explained it, but it makes sense to me. And the deity is sitting, the deity of our mantra is sitting here. And that mantra is the most direct way to awaken your bhakti because you can directly know the deity through his name. And so there's no house more important for bhakti in your chart, in a sense, than this fifth house, this mantra bhava. And we give highest regard to the mantra because the mantra is the deity and the deity is the object of love. And there's no means for you to do this on your own. We are dependent on grace. And that grace comes when we direct our attention to the Lord. And the easiest and most direct way is through our mantra. Then, in direct opposition, we could say, we have the third house of self-effort. Now, what's really interesting as we move through here, when we get to the O houses, the obstruction houses aren't exactly opposed, but they have a demand. They demand something of you. They're not just giving this to you. All the sustainer houses, in a sense, they're pushing you. They're pushing you towards revealing your heart. And good, bad, ugly, like they're pushing you to your heart. But all the O houses, all the obstructions, the Viroda houses, they are asking something of you. They have a demand of you. So bhakti is active and it's not on automatic. You have to direct your attention to the Lord and the grace will come. He's so graceful. He's so full of grace. But you have to take the steps towards him. Krishna makes this really beautiful, he makes this really beautiful statement in the Bhagavad Gita, which is such an interesting paradox. He says that I am impartial to everyone, but I favor my devotees. I'm especially partial to my devotees. I'm impartial to everyone. I treat everyone exactly the same. And yet there's a special place in my heart for my devotees. And this paradox is answered when you understand the rule the Lord is operating on. He operates on this principle called mirror, mirror. You know, when you stand in front of the mirror and you do whatever you do, your reflection mirrors you. So whatever step you take towards Krishna, he takes that step towards you. So although he's impartial to everyone, he gives the same opportunity to everyone because his devotees are always endeavoring. They're always moving towards him and holding him in the highest esteem. So in the same way, he's always endeavoring towards his devotee and he's always holding his devotee in the highest esteem. So there's some self-effort is required of us. There's a sacrifice that's required of us. We're starting to open up. We're going to open up this 3-9 axis of yama niyama, right? That we have some. There's some restraints that we're supposed to endeavor to, and there's also some endeavor on our part. This is our parakrama. This is where we carry out the orders and wishes of our gurus. How we put into practice what we've been given. And so this becomes our first and most primary obstruction on the path of bhakti. Will you look? The Bhagavatam, so many places say that we've turned away and now we've cast our glance and our attention in the opposite direction. We've looked away from Hari. We've looked away from Vishnu. Will we turn around? Will we look at him? That's all that's asked of us. Third house. Then we go to the next Argala Bhava, and we have the second house. Now, notice that the second house, it starts with, I've put Kula there, and there's a very simple principle of love, which is that as we become pure in our hearts, and as our love, our innate love expands and reveals itself, how willing are you to sacrifice for others? So initially on the most fundamental bodily consciousness, even animals, they'll sacrifice for their kin, for their blood, for their child, or their direct kin. And as one's heart and mind expands, maybe you would extend that to your community, right? Your town, your village. And with some more, maybe that would extend to your kingdom or your country. You might have love for your countrymen and be able to make tremendous sacrifices for your countrymen. And then as your love and the purity of your heart expands, maybe that idea of family could extend to the world, to all of humanity. And maybe if you had it even more, that love could expand to all living beings, to animals and bugs and insects. The great souls, they don't even, in the Leelas, they don't even like to step or walk on the ants. Judd Barrett was carrying the palanquin of the king, and he was trying to avoid the ants. So the palanquin was shaken all over, and everyone thought that Judd Barrett was like a mentally handicapped kind of animal man who had no, they thought, oh, he's only going to be good for burden. And here he didn't want to step on the ants, and so he kept trying to avoid him. And the king's palanquin was shaking all over, and he's like, "Come on, who's doing this? What's going on?" So they put the palanquin down. He comes out. He's all angry. Who's doing this? What's going on? They said, "Oh, it's this Judd Bart guy. I don't know what's going on." So he asked, "What's going on?" He said, I'm trying not to step on the ants." So the king asked him, "Why are you trying not to step on the ants?" And so he starts explaining, "Well, these are all spirit souls as well. I can't step on them. I don't want to harm them." And the king, being exalted as he was able to recognize, like, oh my God, I thought this Jadbar, what is he doing? Who put him there? This person is so exalted. What a great soul. What a pure heart. So the first essence is where the second house is measuring who will our heart extend for. And the more that we are willing to extend our heart, the more that's supporting our bhakti. Now, this second bhava is an interesting place because I guess we're going to get a thing later, but I'm going to explain it now. This is the Badakistan, right? This is the
Right.
Badakistan from the fourth bhava. And notice that this is also a place of right, we have the fourth house, Cancer, is ruled by the moon. This is where the moon exalts. This is also the Mula Trikona of the moon. So this second bhava, this natural Taurus, is a domain of the moon and a domain of Venus. But it also happens to be the Badakistan. So Sangha, and I put it in bold. Sangha is the all in all. The one of them next to your mantra is your Sangha. And arguably, you might not discover your mantra without your Sangha.
Right.
Mahaprabhu, when he explains this, he points out the story of Mrgari the hunter, who was an evil man who enjoyed tormenting small animals. He would go and he would hunt and he would maim them. He would leave them half dead. He delighted in the sadistic suffering of small animals. And Narada Muni was walking by and he saw all these maimed animals and he was like, what's going on? So he looked and he found this Mrgari the hunter. And this Mrgari the hunter saw Narada Muni, was gracious to Narada Muni. Narada Muni asked him, so what's going on? Why are you killing all these? So Mrgari said, well, I'm a hunter. This is what we do. Yeah, but you don't need to maim them. He said, well, so then Narada Muni, being so clever, he said, you know what? You're right. You're a hunter. Death and destruction is what you do. So I'm going to give you a special mantra. Here, take this mantra, this name, Mara, Mara, death, Mara, Mara, right? So you just chant this name. So Mrgari took this Mara, 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 Mara. Now he's chanting Ram, 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 right? Because he had this Sangha, Narada Muni. So in Rama, 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 and he's chanting this Rama, Rama, Rama. And the more he chants this Rama, Rama, the more he's filled up with bliss and his heart starts to become soft. And he's thinking, what am
Oh.
I doing? What am I doing? Look at what I'm doing. This is terrible. How am I causing this so much suffering? I don't want to do this. I don't want to be a hunter anymore. So Narada Muni came back, checked him, and hey, I don't want to be a hunter anymore. This is terrible. What a horrible thing to do. So Narada Muni said, oh, yes. Okay, here. Let me give you some instructions. Here, you just sit in this place. I'm going to give you this Tulsi plant. And you just worship this Tulsi. You offer her water, right? Tulsi, she's called Vishnu Bhakti Pradayini, the one who gives Vishnu Bhakti. She's the one who graces you. She's grace herself. So he starts worshiping Tulsi. And very quickly, he's just overwhelmed by love. So Sangha is so powerful that even the horrible, horrible people, by the association of someone who has some love in their heart, those people with love in their heart, they're like a touchstone,
Mm,
like Midas glove, where everything they touch turns to gold. Everything they touch, that love is contagious. And so your Sangha is so important. If your association is worldly people, then you're likely to become a worldly person. If your
yeah.
association is evil people, you're going to likely be moved towards doing evil things. Likewise, if your association is with people whose aspirations are holy, your aspirations are likely to be holy. And if you're with people whose aspirations are divine love, then your aspirations will move towards divine love.
I'm reminded by a beautiful quote that Yogananda used to tell his devotees: environment is stronger than willpower. And
Exactly.
I think that this encompasses this Argala
Yeah.
on the 11th.
And even like if we look at the exactly what you said, like, how did you say it with with the
In
wording you
in
used?
environment is stronger than willpower.
So we're seeing like our willpower here in the third house, how we express
Mm,
our will. And the thing that directly undermines or supports that is this environment, this Sangha. So it goes exactly. It's amazing how we can take the principles of Jyotish and this Kalapurusha, and we can see how we can validate any and all of these statements.
yeah,
It's incredible,
it
absolutely
is.
incredible. Then we go to our next bhava. We have an interesting house. Like the third house, Argala, can be an obstruction or it can be a support, depending on how it's behaving. Right. The sixth house is the house of Seva. It's the house where we put our love into action. And if you have no love, then what happens is then you're causing enmity and fighting, strife. So is it seva or is it enmity, right? And the more your six enemies, lust, anger, greed, so on and so forth, these enemies you harbor inside yourself, the more likely that you will engage in enmity and that this will obstruct your bhakti. And the more that you're able to overcome and transcend, to transform these six enemies, because each of these are transformed into something positive, then the more you're able to engage in seva and put that love into motion. And so this is a tricky house, this third house. Then, here we go. There's my Bhattachistan illustration. A
Right.
little late. Um, and so we go to the next house. We're going to go to the fourth house. Now, the fourth house, excuse me, the fourth from the fourth, the natural Bhavat Bhavam, the seventh house. This is one's, right? This is the beginning of the Kama Ayana. Everyone is pursuing some self interest and they are attracted or averse to something. It begins with this attraction or aversion. So at the heart of bhakti, we had in this Atmaram verse that somehow or other, all these different kinds of individuals are attracted by the wonderful and supremely transcendental and blissful qualities of Hari. And this raga, this attraction, is at the heart of your bhakti. And the more the bhakti awakens, the more this heart awakens and transforms everything about this seventh house. Narada, in his Bhakti Sutras, in the Narada Bhakti Sutras, he describes how bhakti prema is the antithesis of kama as we know it, where we are pursuing some object, right? We are pursuing this vriddhi, this growth, generally under the false notion that the body is the self, and therefore sense pleasure is the goal, so or the means for satisfaction, when in fact that becomes the means for suffering. It's the cause of great suffering. We're going to see this, the eighth house is right there. This is the 12th and the 8th. How we pursue this desire directly relates to how we suffer. And when we discover, when this heart is revealed to us, that changes the nature of our desire and where we are directing our desire and the nature of what that looks like. And it completely changes karma as we know it into prema, divine love. But the seed of it starts with this raga, this just attraction. And you don't have to be a perfect person to be attracted to Krishna for any reason, or to any of the number of his divine manifestations. This natural raga, it's there. And when you pursue that raga, it takes you to bhakti, no matter how, right? Even there are great demons, asuras, who in their absorption, the nature of their relationship with Krishna, the nature, in essence, of their bhakti, even though it sounds crazy that you could have bhakti as an enemy, but since bhakti is attention, that even great demons like Kamsa, who are always directing their attention towards Krishna, were considered in a sense by Krishna as bhaktas. They're liberated at their end. And so, for whatever reason, they were attracted to Krishna, even in enmity. And so, positive or negative, in a sense, we see that any attraction to Krishna, for whatever reason, supports your bhakti. Now, this is that bhavat bhavam, right? This is the natural bhavat bhavam. But if we were to apply the principle of the 10th is siddhi that we saw from the D chakra, and we applied it in reverse, right? And the reason we're applying it in reverse is like we're moving in the direction of Ketu, we're moving in the direction of yoga. So rather than going forth, we're going to look at it this way. And this seventh house becomes the 10th house, or the siddhi. You know a perfected bhakta when he's completely overcome sex desire. He has completely sublimated this willingness to offer himself on the altar of self-pleasure through sense gratification. And that's not to say that sexuality or intimacy or is inherently bad, but this karma where you are willing to sacrifice yourself on the altar of sense gratification, not your own self-interest, the willingness to compromise oneself in one way or another. There's a unique thing about sexuality where one is driven to compromise themselves. When one is completely overcome that is the representation of one who has opened up their heart, a perfection. And when that karma has been fully, so that's like the start. You could even say that's the start. And that the highest level of bhakta is the Madhurya gopis, like headed by Srimati Radharani, whose love has intensified. The prema has intensified so much. Their attraction to Krishna is so intense. The prema is so deep. And that is also, that transformation is represented in the seventh house, this perfection. On the other side, we have the lagna. And this lagna, again, is asking something of ourselves. Krishna starts the Bhagavad Gita, the second chapter, when he starts his discussion with Arjuna, he starts with the description of Buddhi Yoga, Buddhi Yogantam, right? Buddhi Yoga, that by one's intelligence or viveka, that one can perceive and understand the Lord. So what's being alluded to here is that at the heart of this bhakti, there is in order to find to get the purity, since this is the Shuddhi Bhava from uh, the Bhakti Bhava, going in the Ketu direction, that the purity of our bhakti is dependent on the level by which at which we have ascertained and realized the Lord, right? Jnana, Krishna describes jnana as that is the knowledge of the field and the knower of the field, the soul, the self, situated here in the lagna. And Krishna, there's a beautiful relationship between these two, right? That moving forward, this is the 10th bhava from the fourth. So we see that we can move forward and backward and gain, there's insight from both directions. Towards the end of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, those who are engaged in devotion to me, to them I give the buddhi by which to come to me. So in the beginning of the Bhakti Marg, one is engaging in regulated devotion. You're following a formula. And then by following that formula, one comes to receive the grace of the Lord who reveals himself. Achyutananda once, in his, I think it's called Chalisa Patala, he makes the statement that There's no means to achieve the self other than the self picking the self. Krishna has to pick you. So you make a little endeavor and he picks you and he starts to reveal himself to you, which is the same thing as revealing it's yourself that's being revealed and your buddhi is being awakened. And the more you know him, the more you know yourself, and the more your interaction with him can be from that place of ahaituki for no other reason, right? You don't need something from him. It becomes causeless. It has no it has no other aspiration other than the heart to heart that's going on. Right? When you have this like we have these like this Srimanta going, that this heart to heart, that becomes the the aspiration, and that awakens with self-realization. As the self-realization awakens, then we can put down the false notion of selfhood and engage in selfless action. And this is the requirement that's being put forward or asked of us by the Lagna. Then we have this eighth house, right? This eighth house is also supporting our bhakti. And this one is deep, and I haven't gotten to the whole depths of it. I'm going to be very straight and honest because there's more going on in this eighth house than I have on this page, and I know it, but I don't exactly know it. But we can, on the most basic fundamental level, we can understand that when you're suffering, like I think there's a saying that goes something like there's no atheists on the battlefield, right? Or no atheists in war. When you're really suffering, you reach out to God. So there's no amount of suffering, no amount of bondage in a sense that is in opposition to bhakti. It can get as bad as bad, no matter, there's no, and on top of that, what I was saying is that bhakti is completely independent of your karma, in the sense that bhakti, karma, no karma, you can have bhakti, right? Our whole pile of sin is here in this eighth house. And this bhakti is saying, all right, you have a pile of sin. Now what's going to happen is you're going to go, Hari, please save me, right? Like the Gajendra, the elephant, he's fighting the crocodile. And he looks to his family. He looks to his strength. Gajendra means like the king of elephants, this massive, elephant. And he represents a super successful materialist, right? Someone in the mundane world who's achieved the highest achievements of sense pleasure, and he has his family, and he has his wealth, and he has his domain, and he has his strength in his body. But still, this giant makara, this giant, the jaws of death, grabbed him and pulled him into the waters. And first he tried fighting, then he tried calling his family, then he realized, I have no recourse. I am completely helpless in the jaws of this crocodile. There's nothing I can do. And he had, by dint of his Sukriti, he had a little bit of grace to remember. Somehow I remember this Vishnu, and he reached down and he grabbed the lotus flower and he put his arm up into the air and he called out, Vishnu, hey Govinda, please help me. And Vishnu, boom, came down and saved him from the crocodile. Whatever your karmas are, whatever the suffering is, that's also supporting your bhakti, and it's pushing you towards discovering how to have peace. How do you find peace? And what is even more meaningful than peace? What would make suffering worth it? What would make suffering worth it? Very deep, this bhava. In opposition to that one, we have the 12th house. And this 12th house is asking us to put down our baggage. This is where Venus exalts, right? And
Right.
this is where we are we are in a sense seeking pleasure, but we don't know what pleasure is. The sun has Maranakarta there, right? We sacrifice ourselves, but until we understand what the self is, what was the good of that sacrifice? What was the pleasure? Is it pleasure? Or are we just down here and suffering, right? So this 12th house is asking us to discover what is the meaning of sacrifice. What is the, notice it's the 10th house from the third house. We're asked to make a sacrifice here, but we're actually making it here in the 12th house. And the greatest of all sacrifices that we can make in the pursuit of bhakti is to give up our desire for moksha. This is the most counterintuitive. Our desire for moksha becomes one of the greatest impediments on our path to bhakti because you don't understand what yourself is and what is your self-interest. Right now, from the position of an embodied being, you think, I don't want to suffer anymore. I don't want this eighth house nonsense. You haven't discovered what is worth suffering for. So you have this desire, let me be out. I want to be done with this. This world is a horrible place.
Right.
But all that means is that you don't see the beauty of the place that you're in and what's going on. You
Hmm.
haven't seen past the gruesome visage of Mahakala, who looks like a formidable demon, and all the possibilities of endless time seem horrific, and your eyes haven't been touched with the salve of love, so you don't see that actually standing before you, this reality is a most charming little boy who
Hmm.
is engaging with blissful, gleeful curiosity and abandon, who's willing to participate with you in whatever adventure you want to participate in. And so, this 12th house is going to push you through. He's going to make you give up all your attachments, and he's going to force you into, oh, yes, moksha is this great thing. We have to do moksha. Gyan, we have to. But eventually, this 12th house is going to say, hey, you got to put that down too. That's not it. That's not it. Your vairagya is not just giving everything up. Your vairagya is also giving everything up. And the highest position is whatever you have, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, do that as an offering to me. Live your life, but live it for Hari.
Hmm.
Be kind to your brothers and sisters. So see Hari in everyone. Engage fully. But do that from a place of detachment from the idea that I'm my body and my self-interest is in the pleasure of my senses. The self-interest is in the pleasure of his senses, however he wishes to express that. So this is the beauty of the 12th house. It's so incredible.
Wow.
All right. So the next one so interesting. This is so interesting. The next pair. So the next support is the Guru and Ashraya principle, right? The Guru, he sits in the 11th house, and this 11th house is Kumbha, and Kumbha has so many interesting details that give us a really unique picture. So to begin with, who is this Guru, right? We have the lords. There are Saturn and Rahu. You're thinking, like usually we're thinking Jupiter, but this Saturn and Rahu is describing Shiva. And I don't mean on a level of like they're the Karakas or anything but like here we have Rudra, right? If we had Saturn and Rahu sitting in this bhava, Rudra Mahadev is sitting there. And this Rudra Mahadev, he's the greatest of all gurus because he holds two very he's able to hold two very contradictory principles at the one time, which is Saturn, like tradition, and Rahu, breaking from tradition. He embodies someone who knows it all, and follows none of it, sort of. So what's saying there is that the best guru is the one who has fully realized the self and is able to apply that knowledge to you in a way that's most appropriate for you, even if it means breaking with tradition. And that's going to be relevant when we look at the ninth house. Now, the other part of Kumbha that is really important is the symbol itself. Kumbha is a pot, this water pot. And the symbol is not the pot full, but it's actually the pot being emptied and the water being poured out. This Kumbha is the fifth house from the seventh, or our Kama. It's part of the Kama Ayana. And what the guru is doing for you is helping you pour the water out of your pot so that he can put, well, you could say, and I'm going to be cheeky here, but you can put emptiness in your pot.
Hmm.
And there's something to that. We are so full of ourselves in our egoistic conceptions of a humkar, right? That we don't have any space in this pot. How are we going to hold the waters of our heart? How are we going to hold? How are we going to hold this? There's no space. We need this sky principle as active and alive as possible. And ultimately, we need to hold Vasudev, the supreme sky. The the story of Matsya, the first avatar of Vishnu, is about how Satyavrata he discovers he goes to the waterside and he puts his hand in to drink the water and in his hand he sees this little flame. Looks like a little dancing flame in his hands. And he's like startled, looking at his hands, and he's seeing this little looks like a little dancing fire in his hand. And he looks closer and he sees it's a little tiny little like a little baby fish. So and then the fish looks up at him and he's startled, and the fish says, oh Lord, oh Emperor, save me, save me. There's all these bigger fishes and they're trying to eat me. You're the emperor, so please, I'm one of your subjects. You please save me. So Satyavrata, he's startled by the little fish, and he thinks, it's true. What you're saying is true. That you are my subject, and you've taken shelter of me, and I should protect you. That's true, right? Satyavrata is embodying this principle of being fully committed to the truth, to accommodating the truth, which is so inconvenient. So Satyavrata takes the little fish and he puts him in a little cup. He puts him in a kumbha, and and the next day the fish is he's grown so much he's filled the kumbha. And so Satyavrata puts him. Makes a little pond, and he puts the fish in there. And the next day the fish becomes so big he's barely able to. So Satyavrata is like, I promised to accommodate this fish. I promised to protect this fish. So let's put him in a lake. So then he takes him and he puts him in the lake. And then finally he's so big he's barely able to fit in the lake. So Satyavrata is thinking, wow, the only place this fish can have shelter now is to take him to the ocean. So with great difficulty, with tremendous effort and extreme cost, you can imagine, Satyavrata, he takes this fish on a journey all the way to the ocean. And when he gets to the ocean, he's like, "Oh, fish, please, who are you? What is going on? I don't know who are you?" And so Matsya, he says to Satyavrata, he says, "I'm so pleased with you. I'm so grateful, so grateful. The amount of endeavor, how much you've accommodated me at great inconvenience. So I'm going to tell you. Actually, I'm the absolute truth. And because I'm so grateful, I'm going to let you know that in 7 days there's going to be this great flood. And so prepare a boat. Be ready because the whole world's going to be inundated in water. And but don't worry when things seem down and out. Don't worry. I promise I'll be there. So sure enough, time goes. The flood waters come. Satyavrata is on the boat. He's there with the Saptarishis and the animals, and Vasuki Naga is there, and the sky the pralaya is so intense. The waves are gigantic. You can imagine, just gigantic, and the sky is completely black. The clouds are so dense. The rain is so intense, right? Can't see anything. You have no bearing. And in that moment, Matsya comes, woof, again, like this self-luminous flame in the waters. He comes up beside the boat. Satyavrata sees the giant eye. Imagine looking at the giant eye of the Matsya fish. And beaming from Matsya is this ocean that's greater than the ocean around him. This ocean of love and gratitude, right? And the Vasuki Naga ties himself to the mast of the front of the boat and ties himself around the horn on the Matsya Naga, and the Matsya Naga takes him. So this story, it illustrates to us that in order to accommodate the truths, right? We're trying to arrive at this truth in the Lagna. And in order to accommodate that truth, we have to be ever expanding. And so the Guru is there to make us like that, to help us become like the sky, to have no limit by which we can contain or limit that truth. And in doing so, no limit by which we contain this love. We are going to hold this love in this pot, but the pot itself is going to be completely transformed, right? We're going to transform it here in the 12th house where we put Matsya, right? That's Ketu in the 12th house. So beautiful. And then we can become Ashraya. We can hold Krishna in our heart until that place where we can be that expansive, where we can be that selfless. We've given away the constraints of our egoistic desires and aspirations and all the limitations and dissatisfactions and aversions and blah, 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 blah that comes with that. And the Guru has helped us to get rid of that. Then we become Ashraya. And this Ashraya principle, this Guru principle, and all the frustration that comes from this 11th house, everything that comes with this 11th house actually is fully supporting and serving our bhakti. In opposition to this, where so many people go wrong is we're now looking at this 9th house. And when I say go wrong, I have to be careful how I say that. But I'll try to explain this a little bit. So this 9th house becomes the obstruction. This 9th house is our religious practice. This is where we put our beliefs, which are in the 12th, our faith, into action. And this is the 6th house of our from our Bhakti Bhava, right? So this is the Seva. This is the Seva to our oneself. The Seva to one's guru, one Seva to one's the wisdom of one's guru. Those are things that are asked of us. But there's a really significant fact that is hard to kind of get your mind around, which is that too much and too little are bad, are an obstruction. And you're going, wait a second. What do you mean too much and too little? Like too little makes sense. If you don't have any dharma, you don't have any wisdom, how are you going to do this, right? But remember Mrigar the hunter, he didn't have any dharma. He didn't have any dharma. Actually, he was adharmic. And that adharma was and wasn't an obstacle. So we get to this really funny, very significant fact that love is amoral. Morality is not a basis for love. Love is not founded in morality. Morality can support, but it's not the basis. Many people love people no matter what, unconditionally. We're aiming at unconditionally. So morality is not a way that actually you can judge someone. And when you start judging people based on morality here in this 9th house, you are now obstructing the 4th. This becomes, right? This is the 8th from your kula as well. You're going to start judging people going, oh, no, what is this? It's not sattvic. It's not this. It's not that. Oh, this is adharma. Use bad people, right? Which means that you actually you're not actually seeing the reality of what's going on. Because whatever's going on, actually, the spirit soul is not ever dirty. The spirit soul is never contaminated by the gunas. What we're seeing is a play that's going on. So if we judge too harshly, really we're only judging ourselves. And we are cutting ourselves off from our ability to love others. And if we cut ourselves off from the ability to love others, then we cut ourselves off from the ability to love ourselves. And if we cut ourselves off from the ability to love ourselves, we cut ourselves off from the ability to love the Lord. We cut ourselves off from love. Judgment is it's supposed to be used for ourselves. When we use judgment on others, we walk a very dangerous line. There's a really, really beautiful section of Srimad Bhagavatam in the first canto when Bhishma is on his deathbed. And on Bhishma's deathbed, he's fully engrossed in prema. Tears are flowing from his eyes. And he tells Krishna, and I'm going to paraphrase it because I don't remember it exactly, but he tells Krishna something along the lines of, having seen you on the battlefield, prepared to fight me with the chariot wheel, to break your promise, to be, now I've seen that love which you have, that you shared with the gopis. And having seen that love, I'm ready to die. My life is complete. I wish for nothing else. My life has been made perfect by this moment. Krishna gave himself completely to Arjuna. because Arjuna gave himself completely to Krishna, just like the gopis gave themselves completely to Krishna. And so Krishna, come what may, gave himself to the gopis. And while so many people will criticize Krishna for breaking his promise, although he didn't quite fight Bhishma, or for being with the gopis at night and breaking the the general tenets, the letter of the law of Dharma, that what Bhishma witnessed was the highest Dharma, the greatest good, and the most incredible vision. So, too much Dharma is a problem. When the rules and the regulations and the strictures, and remember in the verse, one of the meanings of that gets pointed out is that the Atmaramas who are fully self-realized, acting beyond the scope of rules and regulations, are moved towards selfless service. Right? That service needs to have no reason, including Dharma. No reason, including you're supposed to. No reason, including this is the thing that'll be good for my family. No reason this will support my whatever. It's outside of the scope of that. That this bhakti, the gopas, they're with God, but they don't see like that. They treat him like equals. They're eating from his plate. They're doing things that by the rules of puja and vidhi would be, oh my God, you can't do that. So this bhakti it transcends these things. This religiosity itself doesn't in itself support bhakti.
Yeah,
And the tendency is to think that religiosity is the embodiment of bhakti. That through our religion we show bhakti, and that's not exactly the truth. And that's a very I found this to be probably the most interesting, one of the most interesting things in this exploration. Just like, wow, that's a bit of a twist.
I struggled with this when you started, but now I think I'm getting it. It's like this, expanding into this formlessness and sort of absorbing into that state of infinity versus,
Spontaneity.
yeah, like, and then on the other side, you have this rigidity, or it can even lead to fanaticism. Like fanaticism in
Yeah.
some cases is that impediment. We see that in fanatical,
Well, I
in
mean, look, like we think of it like we get to play to the point where religion becomes the basis for murdering each other.
yeah, 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 perfect
The
example.
highest, the highest example of how this can go so wrong.
Yeah,
But
it's true.
what I would hope to be the take home for that is that we apply we apply the rules or the structures that our gurus have imparted to us for our benefit without trying to impose those on others or think ill of them when they don't measure up to some religious standard. That our love should transcend those things. And that also in our bhakti practice, as our relationship with the Lord becomes more and more real and more spontaneous, we should feel the freedom to leave behind the rigidity of the structure of our practice and to move towards something more spontaneous, natural, and what I would call is like like what feels right in you, what satisfies you. And that you is you and the bigger than you. So then we get to the last one. And the seventh house, Argala, is not really an Argala, but it's not an Argala. It's a unique spot. And it's the doorway to interaction, right? So the seventh house here is the 10th house. It's our interaction with the world. It's our karma bhava. And what this is pointing to is that the doorway to bhakti is engagement, action, participation, karma, but not karma. In the way that Krishna says, one who knows action and inaction and inaction and action, he really knows. So we're called upon to this. as the gateway to our bhakti. And when we apply the rules of the D chakra, this seventh becomes the Vritta bhava, how the light is growing. So the light of bhakti is growing in the 10th. You go out and do for the world. The great bhaktas, they do for the world. They have grace for the world. They wish well
Mm.
upon the world. And they are not running away from the world, although sometimes it may look that way. So this is the general outlay that the Kala Purusha informs us about bhakti and how to grow bhakti, how to interact with bhakti, how bhakti is interacting with our life, how we're interacting with bhakti. I thought it was it was so cool. I uh I've been wanting to share this and to show this to you, Joey, for like, I don't know, I've been thinking about it for like 2 weeks. I've whipped it up together pretty quickly, but thinking about it, it's just been like, ooh, oh my God.
Yeah, it's such a profound meditation on the houses. And, even for people that are just starting on the path of Jyotish, there's so much juice in here. And,
So
you know,
much. And the methodology, it's very simple. And you can apply this. You can take this. You can look at any bhava. You can look at any subject. You can go with the same idea. I'm like, okay, well, what does these houses mean relevant to this?
mm,
Bishti showed this to me once, I think, in a different example. And I thought, oh my God, how useful. It's amazing.
it's great.
So we're going to end this. And again, this little line was supposed to be the last line, that this fifth house, the mantra, is the greatest support. And Mahaprabhu, he has this beautiful verse that begins in and his the only there's 8 verses that we have that are pretty much the only thing we have written down by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's a great calamity that he once wrote he had a commentary on the Bhagavatam, but because somebody thought that it would eclipse and it caused this person great distress, he threw it in the river and destroyed it. So we
Mm.
only have 8 verses from Mahaprabhu, and this is the first one. He says, Cheto darpanamarjanam bhava mahadavagni nirvapanam Shreya kairava chandrika vitaranam didyavadu jivanam Anandam buddhivardhanam pratipadam purnam ritasvadanam sarvatma snapanam param vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. Glory to the congregational chanting of Sri Krishna's holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Which cleanses the mirror of the heart, mind, chit, cheto dharma, right? Chaitya, the Chaitana, extinguishing the blazing forest fire of material existence. Bhava Mahadhavagni Nirvapanam, and spreads the moon-like radiant that causes the lotus of supreme auspiciousness to bloom. Remember, fourth house, the the moon-like radiance that causes the
Mm.
lotus of the supreme auspiciousness to bloom. Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitarnam. It is the life of the bride of true knowledge. Vidya Vadu Jivanam. Remember, the fourth house is also called the Vidya Bhava. And the lord of that fourth house is the moon, the true bride of knowledge. Increases the ocean of transcendental bliss. Anandam Buddhivardhanam. That's that Pisces. Enables the taste of complete nectar at every step. Pratipadam Purnamritasvadanam. And bathes the entire self in divine purity. Sarvatma Snapanam. This supreme practice from is ever victorious. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Chaitadharpana. We're trying to see the reflection in our own self. And when that water becomes pure and still, we we see the lotus of our heart and we see the supreme object of on that lotus. So the holy name is the easiest and most accessible. Sri Achutananda, he said, you can study scriptures ad infinitum forever. It'd take you lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes to try to just to study them. And it would take you lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes to understand them. And when you read them, they're going to tell you to do this, this, this practice and do this thing and do this thing and do this thing. But if you do it, none of those things, if none of those things give you the Lord of your heart, then what was the point of any of those things? Better take the feet of Hari and place them on your heart, and take his name and place it on your mouth, and chant Hari, Hari, Hari. The supreme Dharma is that which one performs, by which that supreme Dharma is that by which one performs devotion to the Lord that is causeless and unobstructed, and by which the soul becomes truly satisfied. Thank you so much for participating in this exploration. I, whoever has made it this far, I wish you unlimited success in your tasting of that satisfaction. May Bhakti shine on you. May Bhakti shine on you. May Bhakti shine on you. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you so much, Joey. This was
Oh,
so much fun.
Nimai, I'm brought back to our late night discussions in India and just listening to you and my roommate and, interacting and just getting pulled in and soaked into that bhava. It's just such an amazing thing. And, your heart is so pure. And I know that listeners who have come this far will have figured that out by now. I asked you about maybe like a question that was a little more superficial, and you just went to the depths and back again. So thank you so much.
So much
So
fun, Joey. I look forward to many more conversations with you.
absolutely. So that is an open invitation. And if anyone wants to, ask Nimai any questions or have any further engagements, or we can talk again in the future, I would love to do
I'm
that. Please post.
available. I'm easy to find on Facebook. I'm Nimai Hedemark on Facebook. I am in the process. I will have a Substack started soon. It'll be called Vishnu Bhakti, Light of Devotion, and um, I will be reachable through there, and you'll be able to see my thoughts and writings and approach. I don't think there's anything else that needs to be said. To that,
It's great. I'll post the links, as they're available, and if they're not available immediately, we can post them later, in the links
yeah, the links,
in the
the Substack
description.
is made. I haven't fully posted. I haven't posted anything yet. I have lots
Okay.
of content to go through to try to like make sense of it, but it hasn't started. But the link is there, so I'll give you the link.
Okay.
And my Facebook wall is full of Bhakti Ras. My Facebook wall, there's like probably 3 or 4 years of writing that I've kind of, every time I have some idea or something that I'm exploring, I kind of write it, and then I just have been putting it on my Facebook wall as a place to kind of just keep it for later. So I I encourage anybody, I'm pretty sure it's public, um, who might be interested, to have a look, and you'll probably find something that might inspire you or inspire thought, or I'm completely open to questions, and will do my best to answer. Thank you so much, Joey.
Well,
It's always so nice to see you. I wish I could give you a
thank
hug.
you. No. Same here. Same here. So thank you, and take care.